Anybody want to do an impression of me at 5:45 getting to the airport? No, forgot the hotspot. Not again. Hi everyone, it is Pip. I'm back in action. Back to full strength we go here at Salt Lake City International Airport. I'm very upset at ATC. They just switched the flow to South Flow. But on the plus side, that means we do get sunshine and get to see that beautiful sunset. So, hi everyone. We are live. I am Pip. This is Pip's Planespotting Live, episode number 29. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Everything looks good. And good to be with you as always. So, just got off work, got a little excited, do some plane spotting, and then I'm like, oops, I forgot the hotspot. So, that one's on me. But that's all right. We are still in time for KLM, and we'll be in time for anything else that's departing now to the west side and runway 16 right. Thank you, MJ, for the report. Good to see you. And actually, good to be seen, regardless. It's always a nice thing to be seen. Trying to keep my monitor up here. So the sun with the sun setting, I want to see good visibility so I can see you guys chat. Thanks for the report and welcome in. So our first inbound that you see right there is a Delta 737 900 coming from Cabo San Lucas or San Jose del Cabo on Delta 1951. And just wanted to warn everybody about the big thaw. If you live in Salt Lake or flying to Salt Lake, we might have some flooding. Just heads up. Yeah, we've got so much snow cover right now that we had another foot yesterday. No joke. And so today it was 40 degrees. Tomorrow it's supposed to be in the upper 40s. And then towards the weekend, we really kick it into high gear with highs in the 60s. So without that snow from this record year, we might be doing a new event, more like Pip's whitewater rafting down State Street. So let's hope the snow cover doesn't melt all at once. Cross your fingers. Because you can look at the mountains there. And I mean, obviously, you can tell if you've tuned into the broadcast before. And if you're new, welcome in. We encourage you to like and subscribe. And most importantly, invite your friends. But you can tell we've gotten some more snow as we look towards the southwest in the Ochre Mountains. That is definitely a possibility. Hey, James. Hey, Daniel. Good to see you. Yeah, James, it was a busy day yesterday as far as snow goes. And then Monday, too. Just backing up the line. So I think, cross my fingers, of course, that we might be done with the snow for the year. Might. Yeah, but I'm sure it was busy at the airport yesterday and with the de-icing and everything. We were working on the rails yesterday and it just kept snowing, and it wasn't heavy snow. Most of the heavy snow came on Monday evening and Tuesday. And then we had a little bit more, like another inch to 3 inches yesterday. But the problem was, it was snowing all the time. So it was always wet out there. And so, yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of de icing here in Salt Lake. What's up, Infidel Fireman? Any job offers yet? I'm in the middle of ERB. Good to see you. Bom dia, or I should say evening from Brazil, in Brazil. Good to see you. Check out our 737-800 Southwest departing into the sun. Here on the west side. Since they did go south flow, I picked this side so we could get a glimpse of the Dreamliner coming in from Amsterdam, which should be on the ground in the next, oh, I'd say, what time is it right now? Next 15, 20 minutes or so. Hi, everyone. Boa tarde. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, ERB. Still learning the Portuguese. You know, when I go visit my parents, they would always talk when they first got back. They'd always talk in Portuguese. So I was trying to pick up anything I could, anything and everything. Linfidel Fireman, I'm sure that'll change soon. Um, remember, one of the things, uh, obviously, too, is if things get a little tight, it's always a good idea to start out maybe working just like on the ramp or even as a customer service agent. If you can't land anything immediately, dispatch wise, so that way at least you get your foot in the door and get some connections going. But I have full faith you can land something here. Just tell me where to send the letter of recommendation. Buonanotte. Good night. That's right. Thank you, ERB, for teaching us Portuguese. Hi, everyone who just tuned in. Courage, just losing my train of thought here. Just wanted to say hello to everybody. And I am Pip, and I am broadcasting live from Salt Lake City International Airport on the west side here. Yo, DFW plane spotters, what's up, dude? I have been looking for you. I've been keeping track of what you've been up to with your videos, but otherwise, you must be busy cranking them out. James, I don't know that they're going to build any new runways here in Salt Lake that I'm aware of. I'll have to do some research, so I won't say before I say absolutely no. But I think as of right now, the runways are in place. What they are doing is redoing some of the taxiways and then also the new concourses, the second half of the A and B concourse, and then eventually C. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. I will not. I will definitely text my mom, ERB, for sure. Hey, Clark, what's happening? Uh, good evening to you, sir. It is a nice evening. Should be a nice sunset. But also, I'm preparing to trade in my pants for some swimming trunks because I think we're about to have a giant river run through Salt Lake City. So, 100 feet, eh? Wow. It's pretty crazy, DFW plane spotters. That's wild. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, James. That's kind of my thought on it. I haven't heard anything, and it's kind of been pretty quiet as far as like new airline announcements. I think they're waiting until the second half of the concourse in Concourse A gets done here when Delta just like owns everything. So don't know if they're going to send us KLM tonight, but that's all right. With you guys, which is the most amount of fun. Golf ball size hail. Holy cow. That's crazy. Golf ball size hail. Now, you know what I like about hailstorms? Not that I like them, but if you're looking for a new car and can handle the hail damage, That's a great deal right there because it's like God broke in the vehicle himself, so you don't have to worry about it. That's pretty wild, though. Now, of course, that's not out of the realm of possibilities, as you know, DFW plane spotters. That is what Texas, North Texas, especially, is known for. So, pea-sized hail in Milwaukee, man. Okay, yeah, I know it's been a really active weather pattern past couple weeks. Very active. Lots of tornadoes, lots of hail. Friday and yesterday, huh? Ground stops. Okay. All right. So, infidel fireman, that James brought up a really good point, and I'm going to pick on you because you're my newest dispatcher. What does a ground stop mean in Chicago? So I'll give you a second to explain that. Ice storm in Brazil? Wow. Pretty crazy, ERB. Everybody's getting the weird weather. And thank you for the likes, guys, and tuning in. I am Pip here till a little bit after 8 o'clock. Sorry about the delay. I, I was so excited that I ran out the door without my hotspot. So I had to drive home. The good news is I'm only 10, 15 minutes away from the airport. So, yeah, DFW. I was talking to my friend yesterday who works for Southwest as a dispatcher, and he said, yeah, he was telling me how gross it was, 90 degrees. And then, like you said, it'll be 52. Crazy. James knows what's going on. Okay, infidel fireman. That's a good point. I probably was like, oh, you know what? I should have explained that. My bad. James is on the ball, though. Hotspot. Yes, DFW. I miss your humor. Hotspot of internet. Yeah, so a ground stop. All right. Basically, what James is saying is correct. So all the inbound aircraft to that airport, so Chicago, are not allowed to take off until ATC gives them the go ahead. And then usually what happens is you start out with a ground stop and then it goes to what's called a ground delay program. So once the ground stop is lifted, they're going to start issuing delay times to those um, inbound aircraft to Chicago, for example, issuing delay times until so that they can space them out, since it's kind of a compressed time frame. And we are going to get KLM. It looks like KLM 609, our special 609, Amsterdam to Salt Lake City 7879 Dreamliner headed our way. Fang, what's up, dudes? Jeffrey, hello. How is the lovely UK doing, sir? See, infidel fireman, you're ready to go. I just need to make a phone call. You just need to tell me who to call, and I'll be like, you need to hire him. Oh, and speaking of that, um, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do some questions from the Southwest exam, particularly tough. And hey, Singularity, what's up, man? Good to see you playing games and listening. Excellent, excellent. Good to see you. So I will ask you some questions here after during the broadcast and see if anybody can answer them. See how good our aviation knowledge is. But for right now, I'm going to try and focus in on our KLM right there, our lovely Dreamliner. And if you're new to the channel, encourage you to like and subscribe. That way you'll know when and where we're broadcasting next from. Should be a great weekend again for plane spotting. Apologize about Sunday. Yeah, I got a new internet plan, so hopefully that should remedy the issue. So sorry about that. But I expect to be out hopefully Saturday and Sunday and maybe Friday. This is KLM 609 inbound to Salt Lake City from Amsterdam on the 787 Dreamliner from Schiphol. Hey, Bubag. Looking sharp. Thanks everybody for liking as well, and welcome in. We'll be here till a little past 8 o'clock. Seeing our Dreamliner visit, which is my favorite. My personal favorite. Wonder how heavy it is tonight. See if it'll sneak out from behind Concourse A on the south even gates. There she is. Right against the backdrop of the sunset. Lovely. Too bad. I wonder, too bad Nielsen's probably asleep right now, and most of the peeps in the UK, if they have to work. I did see you, Jeffrey, so you must be traveling or a night owl. And I'll catch up on the chat in just a second. I wanted to focus in on one of my favorite birds here. And for those who are new, this is the only Dreamliner we get here in Salt Lake City, so I always like to see it. And it comes 3 times a week on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And it flies here seasonally from the end of March to October. Still haven't gotten year-round service yet. Perhaps one day. All right. Let's head back to the chat here and see what we got rocking. Blick Fang, good to see you. So yeah, we're in Salt Lake City. See, yeah, I did see the Stratotanker DFW plane spotters. That one's going to be landing typically because the National Guard, brain fart hangar is on the east side. So yeah, they'll probably take off and land on the right side. Yeah, so James, you are right. I did speak as far as Eurowings go. They will be back here in Salt Lake City in May. So the expectation is they'll be back late May around Memorial Day weekend. And I think that they're going to be an afternoon arrival, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock around. I'll have to look at the schedule and how they have it planned out, but I will take it out. Yeah, no ITA. That would be awesome if ITA, and I agree with you, Blick Fang. I would agree that the ITA blue is a little bit sharper and brighter for sure, but I still like KLM. And it is Easter Sunday, Babag. Hope you have a good one. Oh, off to my house in Italy, flying Alitalia. Very cool. Or now what is known now as ITA. So yeah, I'm excited. So if we take so I'm excited for Eurowings to come back. I was actually looking back um in my video vault, of all my plane spotting uh journeys, and I've never caught an ITA, but I did catch Eurowings when it first came in last year. So there's that. I know we've talked a lot about uh, getting Korean Air here. ITA would actually be really good. I would agree with that. I could deal with that in Salt Lake City. But I'm also excited too because Las Vegas is about to ramp up flights from Condor and also Edelweiss, Denver too. And Denver will add Air France and Edelweiss at the beginning of May. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 2025. 20 as well. So a lot of stuff going on around here. Hopefully, more action will come here in Salt Lake City, but a little bit of a lull. We always like to get here between 6 and 8 or 5 and 7 because that's when the KLM livery is, and that's we only get that once a day, so that's kind of special as we see this A321 push back. Yeah, so ITA Airways, it used to be uh, Alitalia, and now it's the state owned run. It's the state run airline for Italy, and right, Alitalia used to be it, but now it's ITA, and they still have the Alitalia livery on some of their planes because they're doing all the painting, but Alitalia is no more. It's ITA Airways, and if anybody wants to back me up on that, that's my understanding. So, yeah, great crowd so far tonight here at Salt Lake City International Airport, and thanks everyone for joining me uh, on the air as we prepare to catch Delta 4230 from Butte, Montana to Salt Lake City on a CRJ 200. Should be in my purview shortly. Of course, it is a small, tiny plane, under 50 seats, but no less an important plane. Thank you for the like and subscribing. If you're new to the channel, I encourage you to like and subscribe. That way you'll know when and where we'll be broadcasting from next. As this old A321 probably burnt a little oil on that startup there on that right engine. A little smoke action going on. Yeah, yeah, they're almost on fire there, ERB. Must have been a new engine change or something and get a little oil in there. Smoke right up. So sometimes, just so you guys are aware, I like to go on the road and travel. So I did rent a car this weekend. I made a reservation at least. So if I'm able, I may head out. We'll see and go from there. But in the meantime, sometimes I like to make little reservations in advance so that in the event that I am able to get out, I have a reservation. So that's kind of how I roll. Oh, that's a good question, Daniel. That is a good question. Sometimes I just make reservations just in case. Last week I needed to study. Well, I shouldn't say I needed to study, but there was a lot going on last weekend. So I was like, I probably better just hang back. So that's why I didn't go to Vegas and hung around here on Saturday. Um, so we could go up to, with the weather being so nice, I may go up to Bozeman, Montana, which is about 400 miles away. Or I could go 400 miles south to Las Vegas, and it'll probably be in the 80s. Or I could go back to Denver. So we'll see. Or I could just hang around here. I do like Salt Lake a lot just because of the topography and the scenery and obviously the convenience. So, and hi, everyone who just tuned in. That CRJ, that little CRJ we were looking at, that was 4230 from Butte, Montana to Salt Lake City. Yeah, Jeffrey, good question. All right, Singularity. Thanks for saying hi, man. It was good to see you. All right. So, Jeffrey, I believe it's still, as far as total aircraft, I believe American slightly edges out Delta, but not by much. And I know United wants to be the largest airline, so it's fairly close between those three. It's about TFW plane spotters. It's funny. This is no joke. I want you to look. Well, first, I should answer ERB's question. Salt Lake, it's about, let's call it 4,300 feet above sea level. So that's what I would look at. Yes, good old Allegiant. That's a good mention, James. By the way, it's good that you mentioned that because most people don't realize that there is another airport in the Salt Lake area. And when the snow melts, we're going to head down to Provo and do some plane spotting. But right now, only Allegiant and uh, Breeze Airways fly out of Provo, and they're not like the usual legacy carriers where they have multiple flights a day. It's typically only one flight a day, and that's kind of their business model. Is that way they can go to more markets and instead of having to sell 500 seats a day on 3 flights, they sell one flight for 150 people. So it's a little different market. 4,300 feet. Sorry, ERB. 4,300 feet above sea level. I'd call it, give or take a couple hundred feet, but that's what we're looking at. Provo's about the same. All right, so to DFW plane spotters. Yeah, Butte. It's not but, although back in the day they used to have a minor league team, and I was told this by the old minor league broadcaster that they used to be called the Butte Pirates, or as people would call them, Butt Pirates. So I thought you'd appreciate that, by the way. So thank you. You'll have to look that one up to verify. But right now, that A3, that, that little old Airbus, that's the only one we've got inbound right now or hanging out here on the south side of Concourse A. These gates are going to be even gates. The other side are odd. So these go from here all the way to the end. So that's like A2. And then as you go inwards towards the terminal, that's where you get like up to about 26. And then the other side is going to go up to 40 once it's finished. So just a little background information for you. Yeah, and the good old fire truck, eh? We got everything going on tonight here, Bubag. Infidel Fireman, the latest dispatcher, the greatest. Behind me, of course. You're welcome, ERB. I'm thrilled to have you on board. Just another great fan of aviation, and I'll try and give the information when I can. Like this Airbus A319 that I'm zooming in on is coming from Mexico City. So right now, and if you're wondering about the weather right now, it's about 42, 44 degrees, calm winds, but the sun is in my face, which is actually warming me up a little bit. So that is pretty nice. So we're supposed to get warmer over the next couple days. Supposed to be in the upper 40s tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if we hit like 50, and then during the weekend we're going to be 60s. So we're going to have to keep a close eye when we say we residents of Utah. If our state turns into a giant pool with all the snow we've had, it's going to melt. So we got to monitor that and be careful. As you know, and I mentioned it last week, we set a record this year for most snowpack ever in the state of Utah. So we're kind of all expecting the snow to cause problems and there to be flooding. We just don't know how much or how bad it'll be. So we'll see what happens. Well, we're so light on this side. I bet they're going to, well, I don't know if they'll send the Mexico City one to this side because you may have to clear customs through that one. All right. So updating, checking out the chat here. Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, we're glad to provide information where we can. I'm sure you've got a lot of good information over there in the UK. So whatever we can do to help. Whatever I can do. Yeah, ERB. I would like to go to Mexico City. Obviously, it's a huge city, but the airport's really interesting, I'm told. And plus, it's a high elevation airport, so it's got a long, long runway because being at the base of those mountains. An infidel fireman, I was going to email you this week because I was going to check up, but there was another reason. I'm trying to remember what it is. I'll have to monitor. Let's go back and see what I was doing here. Okay. Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Leon. There's actually a girl in my class, uh, in one of my classes in the past. She was from Guadalajara, so I learned a little bit about that. And Leon's a BJX. The airport code is an important airport for sure for business. Also, I think Puebla is an important airport because isn't Puebla has a Volkswagen factory there as well. I actually used to sell Volkswagen, so that's why I was thinking back to that. So inbound to us, we can expect a United Express 4805 from San Francisco on an Embraer E175. Should also expect, let's see, city. I bet you we might get Salt Lake City 20 or Delta 2806 Salt Lake City to San Francisco. We'll see what happens. You're exactly right. ERB, there is a volcano for sure. Yeah, so I got to be aware of the volcano. I got to be aware of the earthquakes. Got to be aware of the traffic. Got to be vigilant in Mexico City. Sounds good, Jeffrey. Yeah, I that's what I hear. That's why I want to go check it out. Go down to Mexico City and check it out. Absolutely. A lot of delayed flights due to the weather in the Midwest tonight, causing problems. So we should get some departures, though, if not. Also expect for us here on the west side, on runway 16 right here in Salt Lake City, we should expect to see Spirit 423 from Las Vegas on an A320. Also, Denver, United flight from Denver, United 5762 on a CRJ 200. And everything else is delayed due to the weather in the Midwest, due to some of those storms that we've been, for those of us who are here in the United States and those who are um, watching from abroad, we've had quite a few tornadoes and a pretty active spring so far for thunderstorms and tornadoes. So they're causing some problems here in the Midwest and the eastern part. So, yep, Jeffrey, you're right. Horrible weather in Missouri for sure. In fact, let's give you a little update because I do obviously like to be aware of what's going on with the weather. So we're waiting for a flight. There's a 2-hour delay for a flight from Detroit. There's a 2-hour delay for a flight from Chicago. And I think there was one more I was looking at. I have ERB. I have landed on it in Flight Simulator, and it's definitely a challenge. So yeah, I agree with you. So in real life, yes, I need to do that. Absolutely. I have not yet in real life. I have on Flight Simulator, but not in real life. And hi, everybody who's just tuning in. My name is Pip. If you're new to the channel, And this is Pip's Plane Spotting live from Salt Lake City International Airport. This is my home base. This is where we usually broadcast from. And while I had a free moment away from work, I thought I'd get back out here. So thank you for joining me. All right. So, looking at the severe storm prediction center, lot of wind reports, lot of wind reports. So like straight line winds throughout the Midwest. Yeah, some hail, but it looks like predominantly today, it looks like you've got like a derecho or a straight line winds for weather. Yes, Santiago, Chile. I agree. I was also going to Santiago. I could have gone when I was working for American Airlines, but just didn't get the opportunity or the time off, and so hopefully I'll get to again. But yeah, that's a good one. Um, I don't know, ERB, if you saw in the live section, we did a broadcast from both Eagle County, Colorado, which is about 6,600 feet above sea level, and Aspen's close to 8,000. We did broadcast from there. And thank you for the like and appreciate it. Well, I'm glad you're selling it. You're selling it well. You're selling it well, ERB. Got to go to Quito. So we zoom in on our United Express from San Francisco. And there it is, hiding. Just the shark tail. So that one is coming from San Francisco, and I was actually looking at flights. Maybe, Daniel, I'll go to San Francisco. It's a long drive. It's about 700 miles, so I might stop in the middle or like in Reno. So we'll see what happens with that. Hey, evening, UP Railroad. Good to see you, sir. I just want you to know that I've bought some swim trunks in case we turn into like a giant river here in the Wasatch Front. So that's number one. Number two, we did catch the KLM Dreamliner probably within 15 minutes of the broadcast, 20 minutes. So if you want to go back and catch that, uh, so keep in mind for that, and just good to be with you. We all know it's gonna UP Railroad. We all know it's gonna um, flood. We just don't know, right? How bad it's gonna be. I was looking up, and there's been news stories already on the Ogden River. Coming out of Pineview and the valley there in Huntsville, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. An infidel fireman, yeah, that is not a joke. So we were all talking, infidel firemen and everyone else, that the last time we had this much snow, I think, was in 1983 or close to it. And UP Railroad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the major streets that goes through downtown Salt Lake, State Street, turned into like a river. No joke. They had sandbags on the side, and so it was just like a giant river. Yeah, 83. Okay. Manaus, okay, yep, and oh, that's a good point. In the middle of the rainforest, okay, so it's got to be a night flight. All right, so I'll remember that. So I'll fly in the evening, probably take either Azul or Goal up to Manaus. So yeah, and I was 2 years old, and obviously living in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago, so it was different. different side of things. But with all this snow, as you know, UP Railroad and everybody else and Clark and whatnot, they've been running the news stories of like, how high is it going to go? How much water? So, okay, Tam. Tam would be another good one. So I'm kind of partial to Azul just because I worked with David Neilman and he started that airline. And when I say work with him, I worked for him at Breeze for a year and a half. So I'd talk to him occasionally. It wasn't like he knows me or anything, but he helped start that airline. So I've heard good things about Azul as well. So it sounds I'll probably try them first if I go down to Brazil, and then probably on the way back to either São Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. I'll try Gol. So we'll see though. But then that's of course I got to take your advice because you know Brazilian Airlines better than me. Thank you for the like and tuning in. Here we are at Salt Lake City International Airport, trying to monitor what's going on with the air traffic, and a lot of the flights from the east are delayed due to weather. And I meant to try and get here earlier, but if you caught my video, I was a little absent-minded, and well, I left my internet hotspot at home, and I had to drive all the way home. Stephen Collins. Hey, good night, Daniel. I know it's like 8:10 there, so get some rest, sir, and we'll catch you again. He is from Salt Lake City, ERB. Absolutely. He hangs around here all the time. And Stephen, good to see you. Thank you for joining me late. One of these days, I promise, we will be here in the midday. And so that way I'm not keeping you up. I'm doing well, Stephen, because for once there's no snow in the forecast. We got rid of the snow. So tomorrow I may come out again because it may be the last time you see snow on the mountains because we're supposed to get up. It's about 42, 44 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's call it, I don't know what, like 5 degrees Celsius. We're supposed to be by Friday and Saturday, 15 degrees Celsius or lower 60s. So I would expect that, we're going to get a lot of runoff and we'll see what areas flood. We kind of all expect it to do that. So, well, that's good to know, ERB. I didn't know if there was like a huge difference. I mean, most people don't know this, but I'd actually like to start my own airline myself. But that's just, after hanging around David for the whole time, uh, definitely something that I might be interested in. You get that entrepreneurial spirit and you want to do things and like, this is so cool. All right, guys, let's take a look at the flag. Where is the flag? Yeah, the winds are completely calm. Check this out. This is pretty wild. And I know it's a little bit lighter here in the evening as far as traffic goes, and I apologize for that. Partly that was also due to me having to turn around. So I take ownership of that and I apologize. So I'll remember that for our next broadcast. But yeah, wind basically calm. There's the flag, just nice and easy. That's right. All dispatch. All right, infidel, you are or I was going to say you are fired. You are hired. I can't tell you some of my secrets because then you'll probably start your own airline. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Stephen. Much better than the rain and the snow and the craziness. Okay, so infidel fireman, I have a question for you while we wait for our CRJ 200 arriving from Denver. No thanks. All right, I'm going to ask it anyways because there's some interesting questions on it. Let's see what I can Okay, so here's a good one that I got wrong actually. Uh, and for everybody who's a pilot or out there who knows this, the question is which airspace requires instrument flight rules at all times? Is it Class G airspace? Is it Class B airspace? B is in Bravo. Is it Class A airspace? Or is it Class C as in Charlie airspace? So the question again is which airspace requires instrument flight rules at all times? So I'll give you guys a second for that while I zoom in on our CRJ 200 that is arriving. It is not Class C, negatory. Class A is correct. Class A airspace requires instrument flight rules at all times. Well, infidel fireman. So this is interesting. So, that's what I was going to do. I was going to email you and say, hey, I took the test. Here's some of the questions that I had because I took some notes at least, so that maybe in 6 months to a year, if you take it, then you'll be prepared. Because I heard they're hiring another class in the fall, if the economy holds up okay here in the States. Good answer. Good answer. UP Railroad Class A. Class A. I got that one wrong, by the way. So -5 points for me. I did okay, but infidel fireman, after being out of the game of dispatch for a while, I was a little rusty for sure. So kind of sad, and I miss it. So I have to brush up, and I was brushing up this morning before I went to work. PIP Airways, that's right. PIP Airways. UP Railroad. All I know right now is the airline. We don't have a name for it. I call it's Project Nautilus. That's all I know. What would I call my airline? Steven, that's a good name. That's a good question. PIP Airways. That would work. I need something catchy though. I thought about Fair Air. So FARE. So Foxtrot Alpha Romeo Echo. Fair Air was the first thing that popped into my head. So my friends didn't like that one. I thought it was pretty good and catchy at least. PIP Airways. All right. Yeah, and that's true. And you make a good point, UP Railroad. Yeah, because it could get confused with Flair easily. So very true. Good points, guys. You are on the executive board. What I will Okay, so I know the type of aircraft that I do want to fly. That much I do know. I would start out flying the A319s, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'll explain that in a minute. I want to see which arrival. This one I see in the distance here is where, if you're looking at the camera, by the way, and where we're pointed, we're at Concourse A in Salt Lake City, and the even gates, and the camera is pointed to the northwest. Air pip, okay. Jeffrey, that's a good idea. Not a bad air pip. All right. Our inbound is Delta 3530 on an Embraer E175 from Oklahoma City. We'll turn the camera that way to the north. Air pip. All right. It's catchy. It's short. And hi to everyone who just tuned in and jumped on the program. I am Pip. Hello. This is episode 29 of Pip's Planespotting Live from Salt Lake City International. Thank you for joining us. I'd encourage you to like and subscribe so that you'll know when and where we're broadcasting next. We're looking to the northwest as Delta 3530 on an E175 from Oklahoma City is appearing into your screen right there. You see the Ochre Mountains in the background. Last of snow you may see for the year. We go. All right, Stephen, that's a good one. Pip Brazil. Yeah. Oh, Candy. Oh, okay. We go anywhere. I like we go. So my aircraft is actually sitting right over there in the gate. Globe Airlines. All right. You guys are good. Keep it up. I honestly, Jeffrey, I like your suggestion for WeGo. Now, Indigo, see, the catch is India. There's Indigo too. Pip Airlines. All right, so I like WeGo, Pip Airlines. Good night, everybody who just tuned in. Pleased to have you on board. Good turnout tonight here on a Wednesday evening. It's sunny. It is cool in Salt Lake City, but no precipitation and temperature in the lower 40s. And we'll be on the air for about another hour or so as we check out this 737 inbound on Delta. Fly happy. Okay. Pip Airlines. All right. Don't know if I'm going Easter egg hunting this weekend. Bubag, thank you for asking. Don't know yet. It's a good question. I haven't thought that far ahead. All right. So my airline is going to star that aircraft. It's going to be an A319. It's an Airbus A319, I believe, or yeah. Checking out the body. Might be a 320. Anyways, so that's going to be my aircraft, though, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, Airbus. I've always been a fan of the side stick because whenever I play Flight Simulator, I use the side stick instead of the yoke. So there's that. Oh, San Francisco is chaotic. I'll have to look that up, Jeffrey. I will have to look that up. First route, not sure. Actually, I am sure, but it'll probably be in the Midwest somewhere. ERB. What's up, Norfolk International Airport? Good to see you. Okay, so I've got a lot of research to do, but the Airbus, let me finish my thought here. Airbus A319 for a couple of reasons. Great performance. So as far as the airplane goes, so I can land at high altitudes, I can land on short runways, I can take off on short runways. The next thing is it would be less than 150 passengers. So instead of having 4 flight attendants, I would only need 3 flight attendants because infidel fireman knows and others in the aviation world that in the United States, you need 1 flight attendant for every 50 passengers. So if I keep the current configuration for an A319, that would be under 150. Next, so in addition to performance, the engines, there's a lot of used A319s, A320s, and A321s. And the engines are pretty much the same, so you can interchange them overall. They're tuned differently, but there's a lot of commonality. So Americans getting rid of some of their older 321s, Delta's getting rid of some of their older airplanes. United is because I was reading about the XLRs, so they're going to be moving some of their aircraft in and out of service. United doesn't have any of the old, they'll probably jettison maybe some of the 73700s, but that's what I'm thinking. Delta's the only one that still runs the 717, and that's occasionally. So that's kind of a couple different reasons why I'm running Airbus. Las Vegas is a possibility. All right, lurk out, my friend. Lurk out, infidel fireman. AC2, great question. Yeah, I'm based in Salt Lake City. Jeffrey, absolutely. All right, so the question that the AC2 brought up is a good one. What was the last successful airline established in the USA? Mark, you're exactly right. That's right. They are old AirTran. And Hawaiian has a couple of them left. Delta has a couple of them left, but Delta just like workhorses them and loves them. Uh, and they're cheap, right? Because they get them from AirTran, and AirTran went to Southwest, which became an all Boeing fleet. So exactly right. So with that being said, the Oliver, good to see you, buddy. Welcome in. So nice to see you. So the last 2 airlines, actually AC2, are see now the question is, what do you define as a successful airline? So right now, Breeze has been in business for almost 2 years. Breeze Airways, they fly the 220 and the Embraer E195. We talked a little bit about them before. They're actually based here in Cottonwood Heights, Utah, which is South Salt Lake. And also Avelo. Avelo is based in Houston, but they predominantly fly along the coasts. So like the West Coast and the East Coast. And while Breeze is like Airbus and Embraer, Avelo, Avelo, is all Boeing fleet, Boeing 737, 700s and 800s. So they're still both in business. Both are about 2 years old. And those would be the newest, because Allegiant and JetBlue came in at around the same time, early 2000s. And other than that, yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot. So, ERB to Las Vegas. The point about Las Vegas, I am staying out of Las Vegas for a number of reasons, including like their airport is bursting at the seams. There's over 50 million passengers. There's maybe 2 runways at most that you can depart and land on. It gets super hot, so you have to restrict passenger load sometimes. So there are a lot of things you have to take into account when flying into Las Vegas. Now, of course, people will pay it, but what's the cost type of deal anyways. So that's kind of a couple of thoughts. Yeah, no problem. AC2. Jeffrey, A220, excellent. I'm surprised that British Airways hasn't gone over to the 220, especially considering the capability it has, especially in Europe and then also the Middle East. And you could even get potentially to the East Coast of the United States with an A220-300 variant. So just a couple thoughts on that. Nelson, good question. Honolulu, good choice, Oliver. So if we were to fly from, it could be done from Salt Lake City. I was looking at the nautical mile range. It would be a challenge. It's possible. It's definitely possible from Salt Lake City or even Provo. The question is, it'll most likely be Salt Lake City due to the longer runways. So that would really stretch the range of what it could do, would be Hawaii. But, it'd be a slam dunk for going up to Alaska. It would be a slam dunk, of course, for transcontinental flights within the United States. And yeah, Spirit was founded way back in the mid 90s, ERB, if I ever know my aviation history. It was kind of rebranded. It started out like in some of the smaller cities like Detroit and Chicago. I shouldn't say smaller cities, but it was kind of like the cheap option, the first of like the ultra cheap options. So they've kind of expanded since then. There it is. Hello. Got an Airbus A321 inbound. Sorry, guys, trying to zoom in as much as I can. And Nelson, I wanted to touch on your question, but just want to catch this real quick and then touch back on that. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. I am Pip. This is episode 29 of Pip's Planespotting Live. We've we've been on the air for a couple months now, started in February. I am Pip. But we're quickly growing, and please, you could join us here in Salt Lake City this evening. Encourage you to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. That way you'll know when and where we're broadcasting next. All right, getting back to the chat. St. Louis, maybe? I did hear about President Trump, Bubag. You're right. Eastern did come back. There's a reincarnation of that actually does fly somewhat. Yeah, ERB here in the United States. A smile on our logo. Okay. Headed to Los Angeles. Well, here's for Candy. Good luck on that. Yeah, so ERB, to that point of Spirit is trying to be bought by JetBlue Airlines. And they're dealing with a couple of regulatory hurdles. And honestly, from an aviation perspective, I don't know if it's going to get through. I don't think the United States government, is going to give its okay unless there are some radical changes. So that is my take on it. That's how I would look at it. See the Embraer E175 arriving. And good luck to Candy there, Jeffrey. Cross her fingers she can get in. See where this A321 is headed. Yep, you got it. And thank you, Nelson. So I just don't see how it's going to happen, though. Like when they first, so for ERB, one other thing to note is Frontier Airlines was originally going to merge with Spirit, and then JetBlue came out of nowhere with this, stupid, ridiculous offer for purchase, basically, with a bunch of cash and then a premium on the stock to buy Spirit. But now it doesn't even look like it's going to happen because the U.S. government is like, no. So Frontier was the first one to want a merger by Spirit. Yeah, exactly. Competition. Favorite commercial jet? Thank you for answering, Nelson. Asking Nelson. Just so you know, since you asked, I want to hear yours too. My favorite commercial jet. It's a toss-up between the A220 as we look at Spirit 423 right here from Las Vegas, landing on 16 right, runway 16 right. Favorite commercial airline is a toss-up between the Airbus A220 and the Dreamliner 787. So now, Nelson, what is your favorite commercial airline? And thanks everybody for tuning in. Encourage you to like and subscribe. ERB, what about you? What's up? And for everybody listening, what's your favorite favorite commercial jet? Not airline, but jet. So like an Airbus, a Boeing. What do you think? Really? NR Bot used to work for Spirit. Uh, I remember those days. Those were like $9 fares because they would advertise in Chicago, flying out of Chicago O'Hare. So that's great in our bot that you have that to share with us. 787, excellent choice. Nelson, you like the Max, eh? Glad to hear that. Yeah, the Dreamliner's personal favorite for me for sure. And as far as Spirit goes, I don't think that they're in financial troubles. And I'll answer this just from perspective of this is just an opinion. Excellent choice on the aircraft. I like the Max 2. It's super quiet as well. The only Nelson, the only thing with that is like some of the airlines are doing all the slim back seats, so there's not as much cushioning in them, so they can get more passengers in. That's my only beef. But at the same time, you got to make money, so I just always hope that there's a good middle ground. So Spirit was never in financial troubles, ERB. I think it was just a situation that there was some duplication in the market. Oh yeah, Nelson. 26 million passengers go through Salt Lake City, so this is a hub for Delta as well. So it stays very busy, very busy. They had Mad Dogs and DC-9s. Oh, NRO bot. That's outstanding information. That is fantastic. Pretty close to the that Dreamliner flight. Pretty close to around the world there, ERB. But that's NRO bot. I love that information. That's hilarious. The DC-9s were beasts, and the Mad Dogs, as you know, are beasts. So that's fantastic. So before I forget my train of thought here, as we check out this E175 making its way into the picture. So Spirit. All right. So the merger with JetBlue and Frontier. So Spirit, Frontier, Breeze, basically Allegiant, those four airlines, they're all what's called the ultra low cost carrier. So it's basically you pay for a seat and everything else is extra, a la carte. If you want to have a bag, it costs extra. If you want a drink, it costs extra. If you want this, it costs extra. A boarding pass, it costs extra. So when Frontier originally made the bid for Spirit, that made a lot of sense because they fly the same fleet type. They fly Airbus A319s, 320s, and 321s. So there was the good model of duplication right there. And they both were in the same category of the ULCC, so the ultra low cost carrier. And you still would have had Allegiant, you still would have had Breeze in that competition airspace. Seatbelts cost extra. That's a good point. I, I don't think it's quite that bad, but yeah, exactly. In our OBOT. So with that background, Spirit and Frontier made sense. Then all of a sudden, you had JetBlue, which came out of nowhere, which basically, many people say just wanted to gut Spirit just steal their planes and their bases and then like dominate mostly the East Coast and the Caribbean. Huh. I did not know that. All right. So thank you for that little nugget, ERB. And that is good information, ERB. Thank you for sharing that. So the biggest plane to fly into Salt Lake is it's either it'll probably be the on a normal regularly scheduled flight Nelson, it'll be the Airbus A330-900 or the Neo, the A330 Neo. Then it's the Dreamliner. But we do have the A330 Neo that flies in on Delta from Paris, and now London, I think Amsterdam. So for the summer, I think they're switching all to the Neos instead of the old 300s, Airbus A330-300. Yeah, so it's a toss up. I think the Airbus holds a few more passengers than the Dreamliner, but it's negligible. Oh, you Googled it. Okay, well there you go. Google is showing me up. I still don't see. I still think the Neo. Well, anyways, I will not dispute the bots, except I will. So hopefully that covers Spirit and JetBlue and all that jazz, and then also the biggest airplane. I haven't seen 747, by the way, in Salt Lake. However, thanks to our good ramper at Alaska Airlines, Micah, he told us that there are 3 gates, I think, within Salt Lake City that you can land and park a 747. So according to my sources. So Nelson, yeah, there's no they are capable. They don't have to have my source says you don't have to have double bridges. You can do it with a single. That's what I was told, but they are capable of doing that. And no NRO bot, not yet. They do not fly to Asia, which brings up an interesting conversation that we've talked about before here on the broadcast. Is what airline do we need to get next in Salt Lake City? Because Eurowings just started last year, and KLM only does seasonal service, and Eurowings only does seasonal service. So, what's the next airline that's going to make its way here? The one that I personally would like it'd be Korean Air. Korean Air because it's a SkyTeam partner and it can connect you to all of Asia. So that's kind of my philosophy on that. Maybe British Airways, possibly. An ERB, that's an interesting point because there is already a daily flight from London on Delta, and British Airways is flying to Cincinnati. And they even had plans. Most people don't know this, but if they remember before the pandemic, British Airways actually had plans to fly to Charleston, South Carolina with the Dreamliner, particularly because for vacation, but also, of course, the Dreamliner, one of the 2 factories is located in Charleston. So I think there'd be a natural connection. To the point about Asia, uh, Delta did have a Tokyo to Salt Lake City route back in the early 2000s, and obviously it's not here anymore. But there was a time when you could fly nonstop from Salt Lake City to Tokyo. Yeah, well, I hope so. The ERB, I think the catch is because Salt Lake is such a big Delta hub, I think the airport is like afraid of like, I don't know, ticking off Delta or whatever, because they do bring a lot of business. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see. And there's something you don't see every day. And 175 blocking into the A gates on the south side. Usually they'll go to the regionals in Concourse B. So that's kind of cool. Nice, dude. NRO bot, you got to go from Narita to Salt Lake City. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, didn't they fly that on the old Boeing 777? Well, there's a good possibility I might catch it. That or in Orlando, because I know that Azul is coming back to Orlando and that they do fly to Fort Lauderdale already. Oh, so they did Tokyo on a 330? Okay. Right after the Northwest merger. Okay. Yeah, see, it would have been super cool if they flew the 777 in here. Now, I'm told that Salt Lake is going to be expanding its A330 footprint. So I don't know if that means more frequency or more long haul flights. But recently, I've seen the Neo. When I first started plane spotting here in Salt Lake City, when I first moved here, before I would only see the Airbus A330 900, the Neo, go to Paris. And then they ran the old 300 A330 300 series to London and Amsterdam. But now they've included the Neo on the London route, the Amsterdam route. I've even seen it to both Honolulu and Kauai in the Hawaiian Islands. So that would make sense because I've been told that they're going to expand their Airbus A330 presence. Ooh, good question. Let's check. ERB, I do want to catch more of the Azules for sure. Uh, well, this is according to the internet, so take it for what it's worth, NRO bot. But they say that Delta has approximately 20, 20 A330s, and I think the rest, as far as their long haul operations go, are going to be the A350. That's kind of, I think that's where they want to hit their high value money for like Asia, which is kind of funny because they are ending the the Detroit to Nagoya route, or ended the Delta to Nagoya route. The internet is undefeated. You know what? I will do that. And in fact, AC2, I want to do one thing since you brought up the last 747 ever built. As we take a look at that A319 from American just fly by in the sunset. So I want to share with you a video, AC2. Let's see if I can go back here. Here's my latest videos. I'm going to go back here. It's been a while. Most of my fat head is on the videos. However, got about a half hour left in the broadcast, by the way, before we wind things down. Where is this sucker? Ah, there it is. All right. So ERB, you are, I'm going to say, possibly right. What about now? Are you considering commercial carriers? Because for the cargo carriers, they still run them hard for the 757. James, what is up, man? Okay, so for AC2, here is a video of the last 747 built ever, but it's kind of a unique perspective. All right, so opinion on the Embraer E2. I just don't think it caught on. Here's the problem. Basically, what it did, it reminds me of like the Boeing 737 Max. They kept the same body type in, and all they did was update the avionics and then give them a new engine. That's it. And so it works well. Porter just started flying their E2, Porter Airlines, based out of Canada, and I think they're going to have good success with it. But they're competing against Airbus with the A220. And I think that's really a tough thing to do. South of you in Phoenix, Noah, good to see you. And something attractive about having a totally new airplane to be a part of, plus the customer support aspect with the A220. So we check out another E175 Embraer inbound. And Noah, I do want to get to Phoenix. So that's hopefully in the next month or two before it gets super hot. But if it gets super hot, at least the hotel rooms will be cheap. Won't be as popular. So KLM uses the E2, the Profit Hunter, of course, we all love. Also, Porter, as I mentioned, and AC2. I want to touch on that video because I actually filmed that. I was in Moses Lake, Washington, and not a lot of people know about Moses Lake, Washington. So that's what I hear. No, I've been down. I was down in Phoenix doing a live broadcast in February, and that was really nice, really comfortable. Yep, it stays busy. It sure does, Nelson. Okay, so Moses Lake. I want to touch on that as we see the sunset there and look west. So Moses Lake AC2, not a lot of people know about it, but it's a essential part of the Boeing operation because what Boeing does is they have that Moses Lake is like 25,000 people first off. All right, so everybody knows about Seattle, everybody knows about Boeing Field, everybody knows about Payne Field all along Seattle there, 30 minutes north, 10 minutes south, right? Of course, Renton, where they manufacture the 737. So Boeing has all that stuff in manufacturing, and then, of course, Charleston on the East Coast. However, they also have Moses Lake, Washington, which is a huge testing facility for Boeing. So if you go to Moses Lake, Washington, and I'll have to share some of my pictures too, but there are tons and tons when I went there in February of 737 Maxes there. Not only do they keep some of the Maxes there, but they do a lot of the testing as far as the test flights. So they'll take off from Boeing Field or they'll take off from Payne Field and they'll fly and they'll do, whatever they want to do. And then they'll land in Moses Lake and do a couple of touch and goes because the runway used to be an old military field, the airport there in Moses Lake. So they'll do test runs out there. So nobody knows about it except the Pipster right here, you know, and it's a pretty awesome place. So they do testing. So you'll see the 777X out there. You'll see like the video, the 747 out there. They test a lot of the Maxes. You'll have Fairchild Air Force Base, I think, is in Spokane, and they'll come do touch and goes in practice. So I have a quick video of Moses Lake too, and I'll find that. So it's pretty awesome. Sorry, Nelson, I got carried away. But yes, there was a 737 landing. So I just got a little excited because it was really cool. Moses Lake is really cool. So it looks like we've got a busy next 20 minutes. We've got Delta 4149 from Missoula inbound. Then next up, it'll be Delta 2812 from Sacramento on a A22100. Then behind them is Delta 3584 from Tulsa, Delta 2311 from Los Angeles on a 737 900, and Delta 526 from Atlanta. Oh, you know what? That could be true. I don't know for sure. NR bot, that could be true. And James, I apologize. I meant to ask the answer the question about the Asian population. To answer your question, yes. And let me explain. Now it's getting cold as the sun starts to set. It was nice and comfortable, and now it's like wham. And thank you for the like and tuning in and subscribing. We are in Salt Lake City, and I'll turn my attention to runway 16 right, AC2. That is a video of Moses Lake to give you a little sneak peek. And James, to answer your question about the Asian population, yes. So Salt Lake has pretty diverse, and there's a lot that goes into that. People think it's mostly white, and it is, but it's become much more diverse. I would say the state of Utah and the culture is very accepting of refugees and transplants from across the ocean. So I've met a lot of people from Africa and also from the Middle East. And so there's that. And then also with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints headquartered in Utah. It's like a 17 million member church throughout the world. There's a lot of people that like to move here for educational opportunities and to be close to the center of faith. There's also a lot of Filipino and a big Philippine contingent here in Utah. And also, I would say there's a pretty good contingent of Japanese. So those are the major reasons behind it. And what the influx, because we're definitely getting more diverse as each year goes by. So yeah, I would say so. I would also say that's in context of what people think Salt Lake is just a bunch of white religious people. So there's a lot more to it. And I know James, the Filipino connection, there's a lot of good restaurants too. Hey, Legitimate Aviation, hello. Thanks for saying hi. Welcome in. I'm Pip. This is Pip's Planespotting Live. Encourage you to like and subscribe. And thank you for saying hi. Yeah, man, it's big. And it's, of course, within context. But yeah, there's a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with the Mormons and just being close. But there's also, three or four really good universities, Division I universities within 90 miles of each other, or 120 miles. So Logan's like 70 miles away, and that's where Utah State is. That's the northernmost university. Then it's Weber State in Ogden. And then down here in Salt Lake, of course, we have the University of Utah. And then 45 minutes south of Salt Lake, you've got BYU. And so the U and BYU have close to 30,000 students each. We were, and I think USU are like 20,000, 15, 20,000 students. So there's a lot of educational opportunities here too. So when you combine that with some of the religious connections, there's a lot. As the sun starts to set here and we hit the twilight, just a lovely evening, a little chilly. Well, thank you, Legitimate Aviation. I agree. That's very kind of you to say. I do like Salt Lake City a lot, the airport, and this is where I'm based. But I do like to go to other airports too. In fact, if you look at the live section, I was in Las Vegas, Phoenix. I've been to Denver. I've also been to Aspen, and also Eagle County so far, with more airports to go. Before 1500, like 1500 AD, I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. And the Mormon pioneers settled here in the mid 1800s, and it's been like that ever since. The other thing, James, is that the U has really good um, medical. What's the word I would use? Medical school, but so it's not just research based. So they have medical school, they have a hospital, of course, but they also do dentistry. They also do um, ophthalmology, so for eyes, and then they do a PA program as well. And then Weber State's big on nursing. BYU's big into engineering and business and law. Yep. Yeah, I did go to Moses Lake, AC2. Um, I don't want to sound too full of myself, but I was really happy I got the opportunity. And for those of you who are new to the channel, I guess I should introduce myself. So I actually have a background in aviation. For 4 years, I worked as a flight dispatcher for Envoy as we see A321 in from Atlanta arriving here at sunset. I was a flight dispatcher for 4 years, a couple years at Envoy, the regional carrier for American, and also for startup airline Breeze. So I have some technical background, and so I don't want to say I know some things that other people don't know, but I just like I like sharing information that not a lot of people know. So, and that's a lot of fun. And Legitimate Aviation, yes, Boise. I have actually checked out Boise. I have not broadcasted there though live, uh, but that is on the list to do, especially since it's probably the closest airport to major airport to Salt Lake City. And right now I haven't gone and done a live broadcast because they are working on a second parking garage in Boise, Legitimate Aviation. So I want to wait till that's done before I go up there, and might give me some better sight lines. But right now, there's a couple of cranes. I was up in Boise a couple months ago, and so it was kind of hard to see with the sight lines and get good visibility. But Boise is definitely on the list. I agree, especially like you said with Alaska. They are turning that into like one of their hubs. All right, James, take care, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon. And ERB, I would love to go there. I absolutely would, but I would make sure and take my parents so they could translate for me and help me out. Or maybe I'll just hire you and you can come up and hang out in São Paulo. Yeah, as we hit towards the evening time, I probably should get on out of here too. give you a scan of how things are filling up here on the south end of Salt Lake City International. This is Concourse A, by the way. There are 2 concourses currently in operation. For those who aren't too familiar with Salt Lake City Airport, this is Concourse A, which is closest to the terminal. And then beyond this building to the north is Concourse B. So right now there are 2 concourses, but there are eventually plans for Concourse C. And so Concourse A is all Delta. So that's why you see all Delta airplanes. Okay, so you're from Boise? That's awesome. I think it's a great idea, legitimate. I love it. And plus you've got the Air National Guard there and 2 big runways. So that is, trust me, that will be on the list in the future. I agree to do live stream from there. Yeah, it's a lovely evening, ERB. I appreciate your support. No, it's great to meet you too, by the way. I'm glad you could tune in. And yeah, so this is actually where I'm from. So this is kind of my base, but I do like to travel and get out. So Phoenix is on the list. I've already been there and done a live stream, doing more. Las Vegas, Boise is legitimate aviation said. Denver, we've already been to. That was awesome. Want to go back for sure. And so, yeah, I'm excited. So thank you, man. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in. It means a lot. So hopefully I could bring some good knowledge and conversation and entertainment and, of course, plane spotting. All right. So Seattle, yeah, legitimate aviation, Seattle. You have to. I love your idea wholeheartedly. But with Seattle Tacoma, I've been there a few times to try and plane spot, and it's a challenge to find a good area because the airport actually is built on, I don't want to say a mesa, but for all of the roads that go around the airport, unless you go from like the south end and try and film there, it's a little bit of a challenge because the airport's kind of built on a mesa, so it's above all the roads. So it's tough to get the topography. Like from here in Salt Lake City, I can see the runway, I can see the terminal. It's just a little more of a challenge. What we want in Seattle is we want airplanes arriving from the south, but typically they'll land to the north from the north. So Seattle's a great idea. I love it. And also, you know what? So I will tell you straight up, any Boeing airport where they do manufacturing is great for plane spotting. Wholeheartedly recommend it 1000%, whether it's Painfield, whether it's Renton, whether it's Payne, Renton, or Boeing Field. It's great sight lines. It's great to do photography and videography there. So Honolulu. All right. I would love to. Is anybody going to pay for that ticket? So I would absolutely love to go to Honolulu. Thank you for the suggestion, legitimate. What I may do is invite you to join me one day for a broadcast up in Boise. And by the way, speaking of that, let me give you guys my email if you have any questions or suggestions on how we can make the broadcast better. Seattle is a great suggestion, as well as Honolulu. Uh, and then ERB, you've made some great recommendations for airports in Brazil, and I love it. All right, so that's my email, pipsplainspottinglive@gmail.com. So I hope you guys don't be afraid to ask a question or email me and saying hi. So now we got things filling up here finally on the South Concourse, the even gates. So that's like A2 through 26 here in Salt Lake City. We can kind of pan and see a full deck of planes joining the concourse. And then that bridge kind of gets in the way. So it cuts off the last half of the airport, but nonetheless, All right, I'm going to pan off and check here as we hit twilight to the evening here in Salt Lake City. Okay, that's great to know, ERB. That's awesome. All right, so it looks like we are hitting darkness, and the sun is saying goodnight to us, and I think that means I will say goodnight to you guys. So we'll focus in here with a little bit of light from the terminal, the Concourse A right there. Thank you guys for everyone tuning in. This has been an awesome broadcast. I've met a lot of new people and it's been awesome and I love it. And I hope that I can help answer any questions and just help you enjoy aviation a little bit more. So, our next broadcast, don't know quite yet. It'll probably be at the latest Saturday, but we might get out here Friday evening because that's when KLM is back. And that's what we love, you know? Boise, yeah. AC2, boy, legitimate aviation, AC2 likes that recommendation. So I agree. And I'd love to get out there too. So, anyways, with that, guys, I'm going to say goodnight for the evening. I hope all of you have a lovely evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are, and get some rest. We'll hopefully be on the air this weekend, latest at Saturday, but I'll always put out a video and let you know what's going on. My email is pipsplanespottinglive@gmail.com, but don't hesitate to shoot me an email if you have a question or just want to chat. I am here for you. I love aviation. I love being a part of it and love having each one of you as part of the broadcast. And everybody get a good night's rest. And we will talk to you, each one of you, soon. So, for episode 29, thank you so much, is in the books. Episode 29 in the books from Salt Lake City International Broadcast and Legitimate Aviation. The few minutes was a great few minutes, and we will definitely get you on board to let you know when the next broadcast is. So thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Have a great night, and we will talk to you in a couple days. So from Salt Lake City, it is Pip's Plane Spotting Live, episode 29. And it is Pip saying good night to everyone.